We are here at the SJPC House of Restoration Ministries, and for those joining us via UWITV as well as through our media partner ABS Television, we are here to bring live coverage of the Five Islands 2025 presentation of graduate ceremony. It's a historic day. 195 students will graduate this year, largest cohort ever from the Five Islands campus. Lots of firsts. We have the first students from the Bachelor of Science in Data Science, Innovation Management, and Computer Science. We also have the first cohort of students graduating from the Masters of Arts in Teaching Exceptional Children. We have several siblings. Interestingly enough, this afternoon we'll have a pair of twin sisters who will graduate from the Bachelor of Science in Nursing. We have a pair of twin sisters who will also graduate from the Master of Science in Corporate Finance. And we have several other siblings that we will see cross the stage today. We also have students from the Sister Al Montserrat, who will be with us, who would have completed their degree at Five Islands. And then we also have the other students who are coming in from the other campuses. And that's interesting. Let's talk a minute about that, Esquire. As the campus continues, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, how as a campus do you see that evolving from your time where it was really about 93% Antigua and 7%? We're now in the 80% Antigua and more regional students coming in.
I think what that has done for the campus is to help develop our campus life, because of course, these persons are not based in Antigua, and so because the UE is essentially their home now, they're spending a lot more time on campus, and with that they're beginning to engage in a number of activities. I know during my time we focused a lot on studying, but now we are seeing a lot of persons engaging in volleyball. Listen, I went into the auditorium the other day and I was so happy to see people playing domino, to see that students are having a social life. And that is very important because that helps us to develop a character as a region. It helps us to connect beyond the academic perspective, but also just to understand human beings. It helps us to embrace each other's culture. And that's one of the beautiful things about having a Five Islands campus in Antigua. We just embrace that culture. And of course, Antiguans are very hospitable people. We're very loving and caring. And so, I'm very happy to see how we're treating our brothers and sisters from across the region.
Okay. We have this afternoon of that 195. The largest cohort is from the School of Business and Management. You would have graduated from that school last year. Tell us about your time as a student in the School of Business and Management and what it has done for you opening doors in the world of work and beyond.
One of the things I appreciate most about the School of Business Management is the quality of lecturers that we have. We have lecturers who are very educated in their profession, and also they have the experience because many of them are now working within that space. They have been in corporate society and also have significant roles in the public sector. So they're not only bringing an academic perspective to us, but they're also bringing that real life experience. And now you have the ability to speak to your lecturers about serious instances that are happening in our society and engage with them. And even when upon completion, I still have the ability to contact my lecturer if I'm seeing something happening in society. I can say, hey, what do you think about this? And they can bring real life perspective to you. And that's the beauty of the School of Business and Management. It's very practical, it's realistic, and it's homegrown. Right here in Antigua and Barbuda, you have very qualified lecturers. So that's what I appreciate most.
Okay, one of the other highlights this afternoon that I know we appreciate is that a lot of the students who will be graduating this year have been involved in advocacy. So we have several who would have worked in National Youth Ambassadors, CARICOM Youth Ambassadors, different, organizations, Good Humans 268, Adopt a Coastline. Several of them are graduating. Advocacy is a point of student life, something that we want for students. You yourself, having been a CARICOM Youth Ambassador, tell us how it is juggling that perspective of advocacy while also doing your studies.
Funny enough, you mentioned that historically, UE has always been one of those institutions that has built persons in our society who are strong advocate, and it's no different at the Five Islands campus. And so, yes, it's sometimes very difficult to manage between academic experience and advocating, but the system, the institutional system, allows us to strengthen our capabilities. For example, in some classroom discussions, you discuss what is happening in society, and it helps to hone in your ability. It helps to ensure that you remain educated, especially when you're doing case studies and then you have to present to your class. It helps to build that level of advocacy. So although sometimes it's a bit challenging to manage both, it's a complement because it helps to build both. So it builds you academically, and it also builds your advocacy potentials.
Okay. Finally, before I let you go, Esquire, I know that you are in the Chancellor's procession, so you have to go to the back and get ready. Your advice for new graduates as they get ready to, go out into the world. They're no longer covered by mommy and daddy or in the bubble of the university. They're going to the real world. What advice would you have for them?
One advice I would give is resilience. No matter what comes your way, always remember you are a FIC graduate or you're UE graduate in general, and that means you have the capability within you. You have the opportunity to be determined. You have the opportunity to be persistent. So demonstrate that in your daily life. Never give up and always keep pushing.
Okay, this was live coverage of the presentation of Graduate Ceremony 2025 from the SJPC House of Restoration Ministry in Antigua and Barbuda as the UE5 Islands campus kicks off graduation season. This year, 9,000 graduates will graduate from the UWI, and we are looking forward to seeing several of them cross the stage here in Antigua and Barbuda. One of the beauties of this ceremony is that there will be graduates from all the campuses, as some of them are Antiguans who would have gone to the other campuses and would have joined us here to celebrate. And so we look forward to that. So we go to the music from the Antigua and Barbuda Youth Symphony Orchestra as we get ready for the graduates procession.
UWI Islands campus is extremely proud of you on this significant personal milestone.
We are proud of your achievements.
Your journey is just the beginning. Keep striving for excellence.
Keep soaring.
Congratulations, class of 2025, from the School of Humanities and Education.
Congratulations to the graduating class of 2025. On behalf of the staff and students of SOSCI, I want to say well done, everyone, and all the best in your future endeavors.
To the graduating class from the School of Health and Behavioral Sciences, we say congratulations.
Congratulations to the class of 2025 from all of us at the School of Business and Management.
My warmest congratulations to the class of 2025.
Your journey here was built on hard work, resilience, and unforgettable moments. You did it, class of 2025.
Congratulations.
As we are at the SJPC House of Restoration Ministries for the 2025 presentation of graduations ceremony. We await the arrival of the Governor General's deputy, which will be followed by the Chancellor's procession.
Recording in progress.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Chancellor's procession.
Good evening, please sit. Permit me to start this evening's proceedings by first congratulating Five Islands campus for an excellent year, strong growth in student population, and record graduates. Well done to Five Islands, and congratulations to the principal and his team. Second, I would like you to join me in wishing a speedy recovery to a young student who had an unfortunate incident with dogs. We wish her well and a speedy recovery. Their Excellencies, Governor General, Deputy of Antigua and Barbuda, Sir Clare Roberts and Lady Roberts, Honorable Gaston Brown, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, and Mrs. Maria Brown, Honorable Reuben Meade, Premier of Montserrat, esteemed members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished members of government, Vice Chancellor, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, Pro Vice Chancellor and Campus Principal with the Five Islands Campus, Professor Justin Robinson, other distinguished members of the platform, Honorary Graduate Professor Paget Henry, Valedictorian Mr. Kadeem Charles, specially invited guests, graduating class of 2025, members of the media, family, friends, and well-wishers. Good evening. Good evening, graduates. Good evening to your families, your lecturers, your mentors, and all who have walked this journey with you. Today, we gather not merely to mark the end of an academic chapter, but to celebrate the beginning of a new Caribbean story, one that you, the class of 2025, are uniquely positioned to assist in crafting. You did not arrive here by accident. You arrived through sacrifice, through resilience, through nights of studies and days of doubt, through balancing, in some cases, work and study, family and ambition, hardship and hope. You arrive here through hurricanes, both literal and metaphorical. You arrive through the pandemic's lingering shadows, through economic uncertainty, through the quiet battles that no one saw, but you endured nonetheless. You have not only completed your course of study, you've also grown intellectually, emotionally, socially. You represent the best of our region. And your growth does not stop here. Your journey continues not just academically, but as leaders in your communities and as guardians of our shared future. You are graduating into a global environment increasingly shaped by national self-interest, where the idea of shared responsibility for the prosperity of mankind is fading, where the preservation of our way of life for all of us is no longer guaranteed, and where climate change, inequality, and conflict threaten the very fabric of our collective future. And yet, here you are, standing tall and ready. As graduates of the University of the West Indies, you stand on a solid foundation. You have been equipped with knowledge, perspective, and the ability to think critically. In addition, you have inherited the legacy of decades of Caribbean leadership in many important global areas. In climate justice, where small island states have led the global call for action and accountability, where from Barbados to Bahamas, our leaders are demanding climate justice, not just for ourselves, but for vulnerable nations everywhere. In social equity, where Caribbean thinkers, artists, and activists continue to challenge inequality, colonial legacies, and systemic bias, where our voices shape the conversations on reparation, demanding equity and human dignity. In sports, where our athletes have shown the world that excellence knows no boundaries, and that what heart and discipline can achieve. Where for decades, our cricketers dominated world pitches with their skills and professionalism. And yet, this and more are required now. In this still evolving environment, you are not just graduates, you are builders, you are architects, you are designers of a Caribbean that refuses to be defined by size, by limitation, or by the outdated assumptions of others. You are part of the generation that must reset the agenda. You must chart a path to a more enlightened future, one that values cooperation over competition, one that sees diversity not as a challenge but as a strength, one that understands that the Caribbean voice is not a whisper, it is a force. In this emerging environment, you are not just graduates, you are the architects of Caribbean possibility. Class of 2025, you are the generation that understands that knowledge is borderless, that technology is a great equalizer, that size is no longer an insurmountable limiting factor, that a small island can produce world-class innovation, that a village in Antigua, a district in Jamaica, a parish in Barbados, a town in Trinidad can be the birthplace of global solutions. You are the generation that knows that excellence is not imported, it is cultivated, it is homegrown, it is Caribbean. And so today I invite you to see yourselves not just as graduates of a university or university, but as stewards of a region or a region, as custodians of a rich legacy, as the ones who will shape the economies, the institutions, and the values of a Caribbean that is ready to rise. Let us be clear, the Caribbean has long been underestimated. We have been told that we are too small to matter, too fragmented to lead, too dependent to thrive, but you know better. You know that our size is not a weakness, it is a strength. It allows us to be agile, to be bold, and to be united in purpose. You know that our diversity is not a barrier, it is a treasure. It gives us perspective, creativity, and resilience. You know that our history is not a weight, it is a foundation. It reminds us of what we have overcome and what we are capable of. So let us respond by being an example that others can scarce ignore. Let us build systems that work. Let us foster cultures of integrity, innovation, and inclusion. Let us show the world what Caribbean excellence truly looks like. And even then, the future will not be given to us. It must be claimed. So class of 2025, go claim it. Claim it with your ideas, with your startups, with your research, with your art, with your activism, with your leadership in boardrooms, in classrooms, in parliaments, in communities. Claim it by refusing to accept mediocrity, by demanding transparency, by building institutions that serve the people, not just the powerful. Claim it by embracing technology, not as a tool of consumption, but as a platform for creation. Use it to solve problems, to connect markets, to educate minds, to amplify Caribbean voices across the globe. Claim it by investing in knowledge, not just degrees, but wisdom, not just credentials, but character. Claim it by remembering that the Caribbean is not a place, it is a promise of warmth, of brilliance, of possibility. Class of 2025, you are the guardians of that promise. You are the ones with the knowledge, creativity, and understanding to make a difference. The ones who can take our economies from extraction to innovation, from vulnerability to resilience, from imitation to leadership. You are the ones who can show that our region is not peripheral, but pivotal. You are the ones who can remind the world that when the Caribbean dreams, it dreams in color, in rhythm, in brilliance, in courage. And so as you step forward today, I ask you to carry three things with you. First, carry your story. Never forget where you came from. Whether you grew up in a fishing village or a bustling city, whether you were raised by one parent or many, whether you face hardship or privilege, your story matters. It is your compass, it is your power. Second, carry your responsibility. You are not just individuals. You are part of a collective, a Caribbean collective, that needs your voice, your vision, your integrity. So lead with humility, serve with purpose, build with others. And third, carry your hope. The world will test you. It will challenge your ideals. It will tempt you to settle. But do not lose your hope. It is your fuel. It is your fire. It is a light that will guide you when the path is unclear. Class of 2025, you are ready. You're ready to build economies that are inclusive, sustainable, and bold. You're ready to challenge the status quo. You're ready to lead not just with intellect, but with heart. You are ready to show the world what the Caribbean can do. So go forward, go proudly, go purposefully. And above all, never forget you're UWI, you're Caribbean, you're unstoppable. Congratulations to the class of 2025. The future is yours to shape. We are met today in order that we were marked by a formal ceremony, the entry of certain of our members into the company of graduates, and the academic achievement of others. As a university, we are an academic society of undergraduates, bachelors, masters, and doctors, and we follow the academic tradition in the pursuit of knowledge and the encouragement of learning, purposes which are laid down in the preamble to the Royal Charter, by which we have been granted the powers needful for the prosecution of our affairs. In pursuing these aims, our members advance from time to time to a higher standing in the academic community, and it is proper that as a body we should celebrate their achievement. It is marked by the granting of a degree or diploma or license or certificate, and we rejoice with our graduates on their achievement.
Chancellor, I now ask the public orator, Dr. Andrea Vera, to present Professor Paget Henry, whom the Senate and the Council of the University have been pleased to recommend for the award of the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa. Doctor of Laws honoris causa.
Chancellor, as I reflected on how to tell the story of an intellectual anchor in Africana philosophy, I decided to use AI in keeping with this year's graduation theme and craft a modified poetic opening with the hopes of doing justice to a great Caribbean son. He is a man who carries the rhythm of wisdom in his bones, a philosopher who hears ideas not only in books, but in the beats of the drum while eating mangoes with the guys on the block. In him, thought and movement are companions. Philosophy, like the person in a good street jump-up, dances, and sociology sings. He has made learning a lifelong devotion filled with passion and endless lovemaking, treating each page, each classroom, each conversation as a stage where truth performs. An Africana philosopher, he threads together history and hope, memory and freedom, culture, theory, and practice, reminding us that knowledge is not a cold monument, but a living art, breathing, swaying, moving with the people. This great Caribbean thinker began his life in Montserrat, where he was born to Antiguan parents and moved through several of the Leeward Islands because of his father's job, St. Kitts and Nevis, Tortola, and Antigua and Barbuda. Consequently, his schooling took place primarily in Antigua and Barbuda at Mrs. Goodman's Primary School on Newgate Street, Faith and Hope Secondary School on Church Lane, and later the Antigua Grammar School. A young Paget enjoyed literature, swimming, bike riding, and table tennis. In fact, in the midst of his time in Tortola, he wore the crown of table tennis champion at the Virgin Islands Secondary School. During his time at the Antigua Grammar School, his interest in literature and sports slowly dissipated into a love for reading physics, chemistry, and biology books. His heart's center of gravity was physics, as he desired to become a physicist after successfully studying it at the sixth form level. However, as physics measures the gravity that holds the planets in orbit, Paget Henry would grow to measure the gravity of relationships and ideas that hold communities together. Physics explains why the earth turns, while philosophy and sociology explain why the Caribbean endures. The stars began to align within his orbit as he landed in New York in 1964 at the peak of the civil rights movement, where he taught English and mathematics to adult learners desirous of a high school diploma. During this time, he gained an understanding of the race relations in the United States of America and began to develop a strong interest in sociology. Professor Gordon Lewis, his dear friend, describes him as a brilliant gentleman that is committed to things of historical nature, and as the orbits would have it, finds himself in major historical moments, like meteors depositing on Earth, no warning signs. He was present at one of Malcolm X's many speeches in Harlem. C.L.R. James visited his home for deep deliberations, and he held conversations with leaders like Morris Bishop and Michael Manley, which translated into visits to Antigua and Barbuda during the works of the Antigua Caribbean Liberation Movement. And who knows, perhaps he even lent Morris a pen to sign off on the Grenada Revolution, though history hasn't yet recorded that footnote. From hopping on a bus to Ithaca with hippies and stumbling into Woodstock, to marching for Angela Davis's release, Professor Henry has not only written history, he has lived it. And Chancellor, how many can boast of sharing a shirt jack with Morris Bishop? It is a rare blend of lived experience and scholarly brilliance that makes him not just a witness to history, but one of its interpreters, and one most deserving of this honor. He began his academic journey at the City University of New York, earning a bachelor's in sociology, and in a twist worthy of legend, winning the Frederick Sperling Award for Best Student in Philosophy, despite not even being a philosophy major. From there, Paget Henry ascended to Cornell University, where he completed both his master's and doctorate in sociology. His teaching journey spanned the State University of New York, Stony Brook, the University of the West Indies Open Campus in Antigua and Barbuda, now the Global Campus, the University of Virginia, and ultimately Brown University, where just last year, at the age of 78, he was crowned Professor Emeritus of Sociology and Africana Studies. At Brown, his intellectual canvas was vast, from dependency theory to Caribbean political economy, from Africana philosophy to post-structuralism, weaving together religion, race, art, and literature into a tapestry of fearless scholarship. Professor Henry fought for African-American Caribbean philosophy, Africana, to have its own department at Brown University and be recognized as a philosophy. However, he was turned down and told that it was a program and not a department. From this struggle emerged his book, Caliban's Reason, proof that Caribbean philosophy is a bold and original tradition. Professor Henry shows that our literature, songs, folklore, and even spirited debates over who makes the best pepper pot are as philosophically rich as any Western classic. For him, Caliban is more than a Shakespearean character. He is a symbol of resilience, creativity, and the Caribbean's unshakable humor. Henry's scholarship is a dance, solemn at times, playful at others, always guiding us toward a deeper understanding of history, identity, and the human spirit. He reminds us that truth lives not only in books, but also in calypso lyrics, carnival streets, grandmother's wisdom, and yes, even a rum-shot debate where storytelling often outshines logic. They are all as philosophically profound as Aristotle's lectures. Professor Gordon Lewis will tell you that Uncle Paget holds a non-reductionist view of the Caribbean and seeks to blend the poeticists and historicists. Sankofic in nature, he always looks at what must not be left behind and embeds intellectualism into the culture of the man and woman on the street. Caliban's reason has been compared to the German sociologist and philosopher Habermas, and earned Henry his place as an Afrikaner philosopher, a dream he ultimately lived with much persistence. After all, Bob Marley rightfully described philosophy as light as a feather and heavy as lead. Henry's patriotism and love for Antigua is legendary. Ask him about the best bread he's ever had, he'll tell you hot prison bread. And the best beach? Well, invite him for a swim elsewhere and you'll hear, I can't swim in that, I'm from Antigua. But behind the humor, or perhaps simply very blunt facts, lies a towering body of work. Peripheral capitalism and underdevelopment in Antigua and Barbuda, shouldering Antigua and Barbuda the life of V.C. Bird, inching our way to economic autonomy, and more than 100 other publications across sociology and philosophy. He helped spark the vision for the Five Islands campus, co-founded the Antigua and Barbuda Studies Association, and created the Antigua and Barbuda Review of Books so Antiguans everywhere could share their scholarship. And as a true Caribbean thinker, he carried that spirit across the region, writing on the Grenada Revolution, editing C.L.R. James's journal, and championing the cause of Caribbean philosophy. With humor, clarity, and brilliance, Professor Paget Henry has reminded the world that the Caribbean mind is as vast as our seas, as deep as our history, and as resilient as our people. A phenomenal man, humble and caring, a lover of knowledge. Chancellor, it is my pleasure to invite you by the authority vested in you by the Council and Senate of the University of the West Indies to confer on Professor Paget Henry the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
Professor Paget Henry, by the authority vested in me by the Senate and the Council of the University, I now confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. Regrettably, Professor Henry cannot be with us today. Nevertheless, I now invite him to address the company via live stream. Professor Henry.
Good afternoon, all. Their Excellencies, Governor Generals of Antigua and Barbuda, Sir Clare Roberts and Lady Roberts, the Honorable Gaston Brown, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, and Mrs. Maria Brown, the Honorable Reuben Meade, Premier of Montserrat, Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Dr. Doddridge Miller, other distinguished members of the Platform Party, and specially invited guests. The graduating class of 2025. I was supposed to be among you, and I am really regretting that I was not able to be with you. Members of the media, family, well-wishers present and online. I am truly honored to be a part of this graduation ceremony, even though only virtually. And I am especially honored to have received this honorary doctorate from the University of the West Indies. There is no other university that I wanted an honorary doctorate from than the University of the West Indies. And so, yes, I don't need any more. I feel as though I've got what I wanted. This is the real deal. This is the best. I won't go as far as Sylvia Wynter, our famous poet, playwright, and philosopher, said when in 2003 we organized a conference on her behalf. She was so thrilled that she said, I can only quote from the doxology. And so she said, Lord, let now thy servant depart in peace. No, I'm not ready to leave. I can't go that far. But it does indicate the joy, the pleasure, and the honor that I feel being given this award. It means a lot to me, as you are the people that I was writing for. And so to be judged and evaluated by you is very important and very rewarding. So again, thank you. Let me now turn to our graduates. As I was thinking about my remarks, I just thought about, when I was an undergraduate, sitting in the positions that you are now in, and the things that people were saying to us. They were always so encouraging. And I felt so optimistic, so hopeful about going out into the world and changing it. Particularly when I graduated from Cornell. A whole slew of us, Trevor Farrell, and Vincent Richards, Bernadette Farquhar, on and on. A whole group of us. When we graduated, we were so sure we were going to change the world. It was ours to change. And it really was an empowering feeling. And it certainly motivated a lot of what I did subsequently. Now, I don't have to tell you that we are living through a period of a major transition in human history. And in periods of major transitions like this, things are seldom easy. The way ahead is not clear. There are lots of troubling signs that we cannot ignore. And so my speech to you as a graduating class, the class of 2025, cannot be as optimistic, forward-looking as the ones I received. But that is not to say it will be any less motivational, that it will be any less expectant and supportive of you as a class. Now, there are so many powerful forces converging and maturing in the years surrounding your graduation that they are making this period a difficult one to grasp. But grasp it, we must. My generation is now exiting the stage of history to make room for you. As generations, we don't get to choose the challenges that we must confront and overcome. We inherit these challenges and must do our best to meet them. One of the major challenges of my generation was to bring the benefits of modernity to colonized areas of the world, such as our own. One way in which I can describe the big challenge that your generation is confronting is one of ensuring that we are able to hold on to the benefits of modernity as we transition from the receding modern period into, we can call it a postmodern, a transmodern phase of the global order that now links all human societies. Holding on to these advances and benefits that came with the modern period, while the global forces embracing us are postmodern or transmodern, will require from us excellence in both scholarship and in the practice of good citizenship. Because my time is limited, let me focus more closely on the excellence in scholarship that will be required both of your generation and my generation as we are still on the scene. We are not yet gone. The emphasis I have placed so far on working across generations stems from the fact that as the torch is passed from one generation to another, quite often something vital is lost or forgotten. One of the challenges of my generation, which matured in the 1960s, was the creating of a theoretical model of the modern world system, which at the time was dominated by the European imperial powers. In this undertaking, the passing of the torch from the generation of the 1930s, whose major challenge was, of course, the Great Depression, the passing of the torch to us was not a smooth one. In the course of re-theorizing the modern world system, we lost sight of a major theorist from Trinidad, Oliver Cox. Before Emmanuel Wallerstein, and independent of the Latin American economist Raoul Prebisch, and of the African economist Samir Amin, Cox gave us a theory of capitalism as a global system that we are only now really appreciating the nature of his gift. We must not let this happen. We must work together as we begin to re-theorize now the postmodern world system. We are in this transitional period where we are moving from this world system that was created in the 16th century and is now collapsing. We see it in the neoliberal order that it turned to in the 1980s and has not delivered at all in terms of the survival of the system. So we must examine carefully as we begin to theorize this arriving postmodern or transmodern world system that we have to deal with. Let us not forget the legacies of our economic historians of earlier generations, Eric Williams, Elsa Gavaya, to Hilary Beckles, right? Who have taught us so much about the connections between the centers of empire and colonies. The legacy of our political economists, let us not ignore them. Let us not miss any of them the way we missed Oliver Cox. The moment is one that needs all of our efforts. This has to be an interdisciplinary response to the challenge that we are now facing. And I'm hoping that before we pass from the scene, we will be able to help you and pass on to you our experiences without, of course, clouding your vision and your ideas of leadership. So yes, as you take on this challenge now of beginning to re-theorize the global system that is upon us, that provisionally I'm calling a postmodern or a transmodern world system, I'm sure you will probably have a different term or different name for it. But certainly, we must work together to make this transition one in which the Caribbean does not fall through the cracks. As world systems change, some countries rise and some countries fall. It is our duty to ensure that as we transition, the Caribbean doesn't lose what it has already inherited from the modern world, and that instead it will advance. We know the challenges that my generation attempted and did not succeed at, and therefore have left in your hands. And so that's why it's important that we work together, because these are not easy challenges. Right? So we're here. I am here. I still got a lot of energy in me, and I certainly want to devote it to helping us through this difficult transition period that we are confronting. We are unable to see the future very clearly. We know that a new global order is upon us, and we don't even have a name for it, an appropriate name, I should say, for it. The most we can say, it is post the modern world system, or it's beyond, trans the modern world system. As it emerges, I am confident that the class of 2025 will participate in this vital process of identifying, naming, and really getting at the essence of this new world system that is now arriving. This is something that we should take on with confidence. As I said, my references to Cox makes it clear that we have been theorizing the world system since the 1940s and doing a very good job at it. Our theories that we came up with helped us to understand the world around us, how to put together programs of development, policies in the areas of trade and development. But the proportions of the changes that are upon us are such that these are the issues that will have to be rethought. And it's going to be one of your major intellectual responsibilities to take the lead in this rethinking and to establish the Caribbean firmly, creatively, and productively in this new world order. Now, the current and very likely fatal crises of the modern capitalist system have been driven by the turn in the 1980s to neoliberal policies by the system's political and economic leaders. In essence, these were attempts to escape the rising demands of workers in the advanced centers by relocating key industrial sectors of these central economies to the peripheral areas of the global system where labor was cheaper. It is this mad rush to offshore huge sectors of the Western industrial economies that is the source of the current crisis of Western capitalism. And it is this crisis and the attempts to shore it up, right, that is really obscuring our view of the postmodern world economy that's on its way. So we are challenged to look past a lot of the regressive moves that are being undertaken to shore up the old system. And so when we look at what has come out of these neoliberal attempts to save the old modern world system, we have to observe, what is really going on so that we can think carefully about how to position the Caribbean. So, the clearest indicators of the crisis of neoliberalism is the equally mad rush now to reshore or onshore these industrial sectors that the Western leaders, economic and political, were so avidly offshoring. We cannot account for the state and the global position of, say, the British economy without these forces. We cannot account for the rise of China to the position of the world's second largest economy and now a major competitor for the number one position. Further, we cannot account for the fact that your generation is experiencing a major case of hegemonic competition and possible transition between the US and China. When I was your age, I did not experience that. The US had already replaced Britain as the hegemonic power in a global economy. But it's going to be a big part of your experience, right? As you have to think about the world system, the global economy, our place in it, that this hegemonic competition between the US and China is going to be a big part of your experience. And it's going to be important because in the case of US and Britain, right, it was two Western powers. Issues of race were not important. In the situation between the US and China, all of these additional issues are at stake. Now, along with these contradictory neoliberal practices of offshoring, onshoring, financialization, and now hegemonic competition, the current transitional period that we are living through is also marked by some additional features. A lot of these features are characteristic of periods of major transition, but not all of them. I will mention a few. First, climate change. Second, wars and rebellions. Third, the multiplying of formerly suppressed ethnic, national, and gender identities that are now demanding equal recognition. The fast-growing world of artificial intelligence. And most disturbing, the rising levels of authoritarianism. Let me say a little bit about these rising levels of authoritarianism. The disturbing rise of authoritarianism in the dying years of the modern world system is not completely unexpected, given the history of the relationship between systemic crises and the appeal of authoritarian solutions. With our feet firmly planted in the liberal and popular democratic traditions that have sprung from the political soils of the Caribbean psyche, we must look with critical eyes on these authoritarian trends and reject them. I see these authoritarian trends as arising from three basic sources. First, the rising levels of free-floating anxiety and fear that have gripped members of communities across the globe as the neoliberal hurricanes and storms have blown offshore the jobs that many were expecting to be able to support their families. As in earlier periods, these high levels of economically driven anxiety and fear have led to the scapegoating of immigrants racial minorities, and women. It is this type of anxiety-driven scapegoating that helps us to understand President Trump's repeated claims of Haitian immigrants eating the cats and dogs of good Americans. It also helps us to explain Vice President Vance's recent trip to Germany and his appeal to the far right. So when we look at the rise of this anxiety-driven form of authoritarianism, whether we call it replacement theory, whether we call it Lebensraum, right? This is what we are confronted with as we go through this transition. And we must always keep it in perspective that we are transitioning and that the old system is going to fight back hard. And a lot of the authoritarian tendencies that we are witnessing, particularly in the West, is the attempt to keep the hegemony and the dominance of the West intact. The second type of authoritarianism that we must examine clearly and reject is that of the Lee Kuan Yew school of political philosophy coming out of Singapore. This has spread quite rapidly across Asia, been very influential, profoundly influencing the thought of the Chinese leader, Xi Jinping. We must understand this political philosophy if we are going to have a relationship in which we understand the Chinese political elite. This form of authoritarianism is essentially a justification in the modern period of pre-modern forms of monarchical rule. It is what the Russian scholar Boris Kagalitsky has called the neo-archaic state. Third and finally, we must examine with equal care the traditions of authoritarianism that have erupted in our
Ladies and gentlemen, let's thank Professor Paget Henry for his address. It is very clear he has a lot to say, and a lot has been said over the years. So, thank you. We will now have a musical presentation by the FIC singers.
is who I'm meant to be. This is me.
Look out, cause here I come. Hey, hey, hey. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. Hey, hey, I no apologies. This is me. Remember the words when I cry lay down and stand up to this is me.
Sir, the persons whose names will be called studied in the University of the West Indies, and having fulfilled the requirements of the University of the West Indies, beg leave to be presented to you and to the Senate of the University by the representatives of their respective schools as Bachelors of Education, Fine Arts, Bachelors of Sciences, Medical Sciences, Social Sciences, Sport, or Science and Technology of the University of the West Indies. Sir, the representative School of Business and Management, Dr. Cleopatra Gittins.
Sir, my colleagues and Sir, my colleagues and I ask you to receive as graduate members of our society these persons present who, having fulfilled the requirements of this university, have been admitted to the degree of Bachelors of Science of the University of the West Indies.
By the authority vested in me, I receive these persons whose names are about to be called as graduate members of our society and confer first degrees of this university.
From the School of Business and Management, April Allred with first class honors. Zoroya Ambrose. Vinisa Archer. Yuki Beaupierre. Tristan Benjamin. Micaiah Bowen. Denaja Brown. Zadik Brown. Keoja Burke. Letitia Carrington. Alicia Christian. Christelle Clark. Alicia Clue with first class honors. Shanice Crump. Nikisha Daniel with first class honors. Shamaya De Silva. Enrique Dorival. Hannah Edwards. Denicia Francis. Zane Frederick. Abigail George. Nathalia Gilbert. Rachel Graham. Janice Harris. Deborah Hatton. Rachel Hendrickson. Damian Henry. Yvette Henry. Ermine Herbert. Zoe Hull with first class honors. Katora Humphrey. Joanne Jacobs. Dylan James with first class honors. Nicola James. Jaheim Jarvis with first class honors. Alicia John. Denia John. Brianna Joseph. Shantae Joseph. Michelle Joseph. Shariah Joseph. Eleonora Josiah Jarvis. Kaisha Kendall. Hassani King. Nika King. Alexa Lake. Danella Lawrence. Makeda Lawrence. Michaela Linton. Michaela Linton. Derek Lee. Kejoa Liverpool. Lanaya Livingston. Simon Lopez Pina. Alexia Lovelace. Aikisha Matherin. Alvith Matthew with first class honors. Nicholas Mackenzie. Kyra Mills with first class honors. Darwin Moore. Shaquan O'Neill. Shabu Nedwell. Ayanla Payne. Kiara Payne. Raj Phillip. Erwin Philo. Marisha Potter with first class honors. Rihanna Reed with first class honors. Tamisha Richards. Romario Roberts. Renee Roberts. Carrick Rowland with first class honors. Shanique Samuel. Sean Samuel. Shanta Saunders. Josh Small. Kirabo Smith. Shamar Smith. Benaya Spencer. Layla Tahir. Janicia Thomas with first class honors. Nelissa Timothy. Kishana Tittle. Janique Titus. Atricia Tung. Johanna Vargas. Kajona White with first class honors. Kimira Williams. Shania Williams with first class honors. Crystal Wilson. Carrie Zachariah. From the Global Campus, Faculty of Social Sciences, Brianna Anthony. Kelicia Bedminster. Atia Fabian. Patricia Farrell with first class honors. Trinity George. Dion Granum. Shawnika Henry. Danica John with first class honors. Richard John. Kashina Joseph. Nikisha Josiah with first class honors. Destiny Lake with first class honors. Zelika Lawrence. Sharandi Merchant with first class honors. Lamin Newton. Erica Pearson. Jasmine Qualo. Kizwana Proctor with first class honors. Laverne Reiner with first class honors. Janine Sebastian. Stacy Semper. Kimaru Smith with first class honors. Dwight St. Ville with first class honors. Denia Timothy with first class honors. Tamara Valerie with first class honors. Michelle Vasquez. Aljanique Ward with first class honors. Sela Yeboah.
The head of school, School of Health and Behavioral Sciences, Mrs. Ronis Joseph Brown.
Sir, my colleagues and I ask you to receive as graduate members of our society these persons present who, having fulfilled the requirements of this university, have been admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Science of the University of the West Indies. From the School of Health and Behavioral Sciences, Bachelor of Science in Nursing. Lorian Benjamin, first class honors. Apologies.
By the authority vested in me, I receive these persons whose names are about to be called as graduate members of our society and confer first degrees of this university.
Thank you. Lorianne Benjamin, first class honors. Shadeen Brooks, first class honors. Devoni Chandler. Yisel Diaz Gomez. Yusel Diaz Gomez. Cherise Harvey. Crystal Hughes, first class honors. Nayoka Raymond, first class honors. Tashana Ricketts, first class honors. Unique Walsh. Joshua Williams. Suzanne Williams Delbrook. From the Global Campus Faculty of Sport, Bachelor of Science, Andra Samuel. From the Mona Campus Faculty of Medical Sciences, Tana Martin. Kadir Smith.
Sir, the head of School of Humanities and Education, Dr. Andrew Hunt.
Sir, my colleagues and I ask you to receive as graduate members of our society these persons present who, having fulfilled the requirements of this university, have been admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Education or Bachelor of Fine Arts of the University of the West Indies.
By the authority vested in me, I receive these persons whose names are about to be called as graduate members of our society and confer first degrees of this university.
From the Faculty of Humanities and Education, Sharon Allen with first class honors. Valkiza Allison with first class honors. Chantel Barton with first class honors. Sione Barrett with first class honors. Denise Bontiff. Jakisha Brown. Monifa Brown. Sir Whitney Burton with first class honors. Pauline Charles Benter with first class honors. Floretta Christian. Juliet Collins with first class honors. Tamika Daisy. Taryn Dyer with first class honors. Felicia Edwards. Sir with first class honors, Blondell Farrell. Arnolin Goodwin with first class honors. Delina Green with first class honors. Shireen Hogan with first class honors. Jamola James with first class honors. Italis Jarvis with first class honors. Tanisha Jean with first class honors. Cheryl Jean-Pierre with first class honors. Sir with first class honors, Mignon Joseph. Goodness Jubril with first class honors. Sir with first class honors, Tessa Leach. Tina Lewis. Irvin Lewis. Denicia Lynch with first class honors. Chevenese Main. Sir, with first class honors, Luthia Mills. Elisha Richards with first class honors. Chantal Smith with first class honors. With first class honors, Cynthia Yearwood Harrigan. From the Caville campus, Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts, Bachelor of Fine Arts. Elise Joseph. From the Faculty of Humanities and Education, Alucia Greenaway. From the Global Campus, Faculty of Humanities and Education, Neil Coates. Sir, with first class honors, Kellyanne Harry. With first class honors, Kalisan Ince. Keon Reind. With first class honors, Irena Rogers. Alexandra Spence. Sir, with first class honors, Esther Thomas. With first class honors, Imena Rose Thomas.
Sir, the head of School of Science, Computing and Artificial Intelligence, Dr. Elenius Ildefons.
Sir, my colleagues and I ask you to receive as graduate members of our society these persons present who, having fulfilled the requirement of this university, have been admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Science of the University of the West Indies.
By the authority vested in me, I receive these persons whose names are about to be called as graduate members of our society and confer first degrees of this university.
From the School of Science, Computing and Artificial Intelligence, Joel Blenman. Kadeem Charles with first-class honors. Luetta Dali. Joshua Gardner. Jalik Gordon. Roria Lewis. Olina Marie. Gavin Pond. Lamar Retmeyer. From the St. Augustine Campus, Faculty of Science and Technology, Jadine Brown.
I now call on the class valedictorian, Mr. Kadeem Charles, Bachelor of Science, Data Science, Innovation Management, and Computer Science, with first-class honors, to deliver the valedictory address.
Their Excellencies, Governor General's Deputy of Antigua and Barbuda, Sir Claire Roberts and Lady Roberts, the Honorable Gaston Brown, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Mrs. Maria Brown, the Honorable Reuben Mead, Premier of Montserrat, Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Dr. Goodrich, other distinguished members of the Platform Party, and specially invited guests, graduating class of 2025, members of the media, and to the families and well-wishers present and online, a pleasant evening. Our theme this year is Pelicans in an AI-driven future, where tradition meets tomorrow. And as I look back on my journey, I realize that I have been preparing for that very future without even knowing it. My love for gaming first inspired me to pursue technology. What began as hours of playing and imagining better, more affordable games for the region grew into a passion for problem solving and innovation. That same passion carried me through some of my hardest moments at this university. There were at least 3 occasions when I almost dropped out. Each time I leaned on faith, on my lecturers, on my colleagues, and on the optimism that tomorrow could be brighter. Optimism can be blind, yes, but I believe that it is better to face uncertainty with hope than with despair. My first year nearly cost me my scholarship. It was a humbling moment, filled with doubts and comparisons. But I realized the only true comparison worth making was to myself. And I refused to lose to the person I was yesterday. So I picked myself up, studied smarter, and pushed harder to move forward. When financial struggles threatened my future, opportunities appeared through new programs and the kindness of my peers. In fact, it was a classmate who helped me find the job I hold today as a fraud analyst, a role that not only supported my studies, but showed how the skills I gained here could be applied to real-world problems in a technology-driven, AI-powered age. And I know many of you here have faced your own battles, whether financial, academic, or personal. Yet together, we stand here as proof of what perseverance looks like. But it wasn't all challenges. Some of our best memories were forged in laughter and late nights, like those hackathons where we stayed at the university until morning, eating pizza, or maybe being eaten by mosquitoes as we killed time in between classes. Those moments taught us persistence, teamwork, and the value of turning exhaustion into creativity. Skills we will carry into every project and workplace. Guys. Or when we faced off against UWI Mona in volleyball. And though we didn't win, we came close, proving that Five Islands could stand tall in both spirit and determination. That match reminded us that victory isn't only on the scoreboard, but in the courage to compete and believe in ourselves. And of course, the endless chatting, gaming, and even arguing in clubs. In my case, the anime club. Moments that reminded us that growth isn't only about exams and essays, but about joy, creativity, and friendship. Along the way, I joined organizations like Annu Recon, Interact, Circle K International, and the Antigua and Barbuda Scouts Association. And I realized something. Growth was never just about me. It was about the bonds we forged, the juniors we mentored, and the projects we built together. The best way to grow is to grow with others. So, what has the university given me? More than just a degree, it gave me resilience when I wanted to give up. It gave me lifelong companions. It gave me opportunities I never could have created on my own. And it gave me the vision to see inefficiency not as a dead end, but as a challenge to innovate, to create better systems, better solutions, and a better future. That mindset to invest more today so tomorrow can be brighter is exactly how tradition meets tomorrow. Just as pelicans soar by riding the winds, we too must learn to ride the waves of change. Artificial intelligence will transform the world of work, of business, of creativity itself. From the automation of simple tasks to the rise of generative AI tools reshaping how we learn, create, and even protect our data, the world we are stepping into will demand not just technical skills, but wisdom and responsibility. Already, we see how AI is reshaping lives. It predicts hurricanes by analyzing millions of weather data points faster than humans ever could, giving vulnerable communities precious hours to prepare. In healthcare, AI scans images and patient data with incredible speed, helping doctors detect illnesses earlier and save more lives. And in education, AI personalizes learning, adapting lessons to each student's pace, breaking down borders to knowledge. Yet, like with every great innovation, it comes with challenges. Questions about job disruption, data privacy, and the long-term risks of depending too heavily on machines. These are not just global issues, they are Caribbean issues too. And the way we combat them is with education, ethical leadership, and collaboration. ensuring that technology serves us and not the other way around. As Pelicans, we are prepared to face these challenges with both tradition as our compass and innovation as our sail. Because while AI may shape our tools, it is our tradition of resilience, of community, of creativity that shapes who we are. So, to my fellow graduates, the future will be uncertain, sometimes overwhelming, but we are ready because we have been tested, we have been challenged, and we have been prepared to not just survive tomorrow, but to define it. To God who guided me, to our families who sacrificed with us, to our lecturers and staff who supported and shaped us, and to you, my fellow graduates who stood beside me, especially Soskai, thank you. I would not be here without you. Congratulations to the class of 2025. Let us continue to rise together. Sir, I now call on the Pro Vice Chancellor, Graduate Studies and Research, Professor Audrey Henry Lee, to present to you members of our society for the award of high degrees and postgraduate diplomas.
Sir, I present to you these members of our society who, having fulfilled the requirements of this university, have been awarded postgraduate diplomas or admitted to master's degrees, and beg that you recognize their advancement in our society.
By the authority vested in me, I confer on these persons whose names are about to be called postgraduate diplomas and master's degrees of this university and recognize their advancement in our society.
From the School of Business and Management, Master of Science, Corporate Finance, Teresa Brown. Tessa Brown Joseph. Janicia Gardner. Jonelle Henry. Azalia Hoyt. Crystal Joseph. Marsha Lee. Dave Roberts. From the School of Humanities and Education, Postgraduate Diploma in Education. Alana Charles David, with distinction. Nakira De Freitas, with distinction. Kieran John. Alfranic Joseph, with distinction. Priscilla Marsh Sutton, with distinction. Oh, he's writing his name. Just a minute. Okay. You had to get a hood. All right, so we continue with distinction, Glenys Vera Otis. Master of Arts, teaching exceptional children. Jacqueline Azil Joseph with distinction. Natasha Francis with distinction. Okira Lee with distinction. Andrea Richards Tong with distinction. Jennifer Samuels with distinction. Joseph William Cannonier with distinction. From the Caville campus, Faculty of Science and Technology, Master of Science, Natural Resource and Environmental Management. Jabari Reynolds. From the Faculty of Social Science, Master of Science, Tourism with Project Management, Pascale Kentish. From the Global Campus, Faculty of Social Sciences, Master of Science, Management Studies, Olson Brown. Nikisha Janki. Kida Nicholas. With distinction, Tony Taubert. From the Mona campus, Faculty of Medical Sciences, Master of Science, Nursing Education. Yvonne Constance. From the St. Augustine campus, Faculty of Medical Sciences, Master of Science, Nursing, Simon Bowen. Taril Walker Bowen. So, I present to you this member of our society who, having fulfilled the requirements of this university, has been admitted to the degree of Doctor of Medicine, and beg that you recognize her advancement in our society.
By the authority vested in me, I confer on this person whose name is about to be called the degree of Doctor of Medicine and recognize her advancement in our society.
From the Mona campus, Faculty of Medical Sciences, Doctor of Medicine, Emergency Medicine, Linda Ozumba.
I now call on the representative of the UWI Alumni Association, Antigua and Barbuda Chapter, Mr. Inquire Henry, to lead the graduates in reciting the Alumni Pledge.
Graduates, please stand. I will now lead you in reciting the Alumni Pledge, which can be found on page 29 of the booklet. Please repeat after me. As a graduate of the University of the West Indies, I commit myself to uphold the ideals and goals of my alma mater. My conduct and voice shall reflect the commitment to excellence of a light rising from the West. As I fulfill my social and professional responsibilities and serve my community and region, I will strive to ensure the UWI's place as a Caribbean icon, the catalyst for Caribbean development and leadership. It is a legacy that I will proudly help build for future generations. The UWI, first in our hearts and first in our region.
I invite everyone to stand as we join in singing the university song, which can be found on page 30 of the booklet. And you've been asked to put your chest into it.
There is a light that is rising.
This brings to a close the public ceremony by which the University of the West Indies has signalized the award of degrees, diplomas, and certificates to its graduates. The company will now disperse, but not before permitting the Governor General's deputies and the Prime Minister to take their leave, allowing the recession to exit the hall. Congratulations to the class of 2025. Very well done. Thank you. Good evening.